Hey guys, Jay here. Happy Tuesday. Just got back home a little bit ago. I had to run a table back up to the church. But yeah, I didn't get to make a video yesterday. I was going from early morning, and Miss Dee threw a ball in my court. Not yesterday, but the night before. Her grandson, the one that lives with her, invited the family to a picnic because they were coming down to help move, and it's her granddaughter's birthday. She was coming down from Michigan. So they were coming down to pack everything up, and he promised them a big birthday party and a picnic. Well, the problem was they didn't have any money or any food. So Miss Dee got me, and she asked me if we still did catering. I said, I haven't done much of it. I said, I only get called when we do it. I said, why, what's going on? And she told me that Tom invited a bunch of people for a big picnic. I said, okay. I said, oh. She said, I know your mom's in the hospital and everything, but is there a way you can help us out? And she said, I'll pay you when Tom gets paid. Well, he's in a fight with the, I don't want to say where he works, but anyway, he ended up breaking his toe. So it's between the union and the place he works at, but they didn't pay. So I told her I didn't know. I said, you know what? I said, it's late. I said, I'll try to figure something out for you. So I hung up with her. I called my sister and told her what was going on. Oh, not to mention there's supposed to be 20-some people there, she told me, which is a lot of food. So I talked to my sister. My sister said, well, she said, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. I said, I guess I should do it for them. And she said, how much you charging? And I said, she said, never mind, I know better. She's your friend, you're not going to charge her anything. So I ended up making, I left the house around 3:15 in the morning, Monday morning. I went up and made all the cold stuff. Brian was there. I made macaroni salad, potato salad. I made antipasta salad. These big trays of them, the big trays you see like buffets. And I baked a big old hot chocolate cake. Took me 3 cake mixes. I did it in one of the big pans. Did the same thing. Her name's Trish, but I wrote happy birthday Trish and chocolate syrup on it. So I got all the cold stuff done. So left there. Well, I loaded. Brian helped me load a table. We need one of them long tables from the church, and a tablecloth. Plus, we needed plasticware like knife, fork, and spoon. We have like 1 million of those. They come in the packs with the napkin and stuff. So those. Paper plates, a bunch of to-go containers, some styrofoam to-go containers, so they could take stuff home with them or what have you. I don't know what they did with it, but anyway, I got home. I went up to see my mom. She was still sleeping. So I told the nurse, I said, well, if she wakes up, tell her I was here, and I'll stop back later and see her. So I got home. I think it was about 8:30 in the morning. And there's Miss Dee standing out there, like she was waiting for me to get home. And she says, hey, hon. I said, hey. She said, did you figure out about anything I said? And I said, Yeah, I said, the food you want to do a buffet like that's going to be between $300 to $400. I said, that'll include the pans and everything and the prep. And she said, wow. She said, well, can we pay you when he gets paid? I said, I'm not even doing anything yet. And it'd take me forever to make all that stuff. Because the party was supposed to be at 3 o'clock p.m. So you guys know me. I was lying to her. I had that big long table in the back of my truck. She said, what's that? What did you do, find a table? I said, no, you found one, thank God. I said, I'm going to back over your driveway. I need Tom to help me unload this. She said, well, what's it for? I said, for your damn food. And they don't even have a grill. So they had borrowed my grill. And so anyway, I got all that stuff done, got the table set up, let her put the tablecloth on, what have you. But stopped up seeing my mom for a little bit, went back to the church, and then I did the hot food. I did a big tray of rigatoni. I did a big tray of hot sausage and mild sausage with peppers and onions. And a big tray of mac and cheese. And I also give them a case of hamburgers, which is 80-20 meat, which is all I ever use, and a case of hot dogs. So, plus all the utensils to dish the stuff out, because she has everything packed. So they had everything ready for them. But I told her, I said, when I bring this stuff down here, I said, make sure Tom comes out to help me carry it back. So, put everything back there. But before I did that, my sister, I weighed everything, because when we make, after like we make the macaroni salad and stuff, we sell it by weight, like Walmart and stuff does. So I weighed everything and everything just to come out of the inventory so my sister knows. But I told her, I said, go ahead and write up a bill. She said, for what? I said, just do it. I said, write up a bill and put the total at the bottom. And I said, don't forget to put grill rental, charcoal, and charcoal lighter fluid at the bottom. Just to be a prick. Anyway, I went up there, I got the bill and stuff, picked all the food up. Went down, we set everything up, and I got the grill lit and everything. Plus I give them all the hamburger rolls and hot dog rolls that they needed. So, yeah, the sweet sausage and hot sausage, I did them in a big thing of peppers and onions, so way they can pull them out or put them on a hot dog bun with peppers and onions, whatever they wanted to do with them, I don't know. But anyway, my sister tallied up the bill. It was like $418. And that was without me cooking. So, but I took everything over, and Miss Dee come out and she said, thank you so much. I can give her that big cake. They love that cake. In fact, my sister asked me to bake her another one. But I said, here's your bill. She said, Tom, come here. So he come out, held up. She had a bill printed out with everything. It said total amount due $418.74, I think it said. And she's like, wow. She said, well, we're probably going to have to wait until we get his money and my money. She said, is that okay? I said, do you see any other company who will wait for money? She said, no. She said, well, we'll try to figure it out. I said, give me the bill. So I had a Sharpie in my pocket, and I wrote on it real big on the front of it, paid in full. Love you, Jay. So, I didn't mind doing it, but I'm tired as hell. Like I said, I got so tired today, I was sitting up and leaned back and I fell asleep. But now I'm happy for her. She said they loved the food, they took everything home. So, oh yeah, they got one of those 2 trays of chicken wings too. I made them. Barbecue chicken wings and butter and garlic chicken wings. So she got a lot of food. But I told my sister, I said, just take the cost of the food out of my money and just reorder it. So it doesn't matter to me. She's leaving soon. I'm going to miss her. But as she come out, she said, hey, come here. And I said, what? And she gave me a big hug and she kissed me on the cheek. She said, you are a sweet, sweet man. And I said, yeah. She said, really? She said, your dad and your mom did a good job with you. I said, well, I don't know. I said, sometimes I think I was nicer than both of them put together. And she said, bull crap. I seen you mean. I said, okay, we'll leave it at that. I said, okay, and I said, I love you. I'll talk to you later. So, yeah, I got the table back up to the church. Everything worked out. She was happy. So, like I said, it's just a lot of cooking in a short amount of time to be able to try to get all this stuff done. But I did it. Didn't make a dime for it, but I didn't mind. I said they enjoyed the food. But that's what she said about, she said, are you going to stay and eat? I said, hell no. I'll tell you the same thing I tell my family. When I sit there and got to stare at something all day when I'm cooking it, I don't want to eat it. And I told her, I said, this was the good one. I walked around back with her, and this is before she walked out, before I was leaving. Her whole family standing there, and she said, everything looks so good. I said, I'm kind of pissed off, and she said, why? I said, because I ran out of Blue Death before I was done. I said, nobody was open. She said, Blue Death? I said, rat poisoning, egghead. I said, I think I had enough to do the macaroni salad. Everybody just looking at me. I don't know. I told him I was kidding. But I know some of her family, her nephew and stuff, I talked to them before, but no, I'm glad they had a good time. So I baked my sister's cake this evening so she can pick it up tomorrow. So I'm done with that. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to touch base with you and tell you what was going on. My mom will be home Thursday, so she'll be back here Thursday. And like I said, she threw me a curveball at night. And that much cooking. Jeez and Pete's. I also seen Kevin went back to Idaho. And he found a place to live. It's pretty much, it looks like a split level house. But he has a bedroom in the basement. And he said it's a little bit more than what he was paying in that place he was at before. But you have to share the kitchen, the bathroom, this and that, and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. At his age, good. I'm glad he found a place. He don't want to be running around camping. I said, the way I feel, I think I'm, 10 years younger than him? So the way I feel, I can only imagine how he feels. And him and I don't get along. Everybody knows that, but it is what it is. Alright guys, so I'm going to get going. Oh, one more thing I forgot to tell you guys. I sent it to Melody last night. I had to stop and get gas at Cumberland. And here his Jeep pulls in. It's a Jeep from the Jurassic Park movie. The older guy, he bought it from the movie set. It was one of the Jeeps that went out in the field with Dr. Grant and the other doctor, I forget her name, Ellie. But yeah, he bought it at auction. And I got a picture of it. I sent it to Melody, but it looks a little rough. That's what he said. He was taking it to get an exhaust put on it and get it cleaned up. But it was cool as hell. It had the plaque on the side, said Jurassic Park. It had the number, it had the red wheels on it. It was like one of the service Jeeps, not like the Explorers. They run around through the park where the Tyrannosaurus come out after them. But yeah, but I see that last night. It made my day. So, alright guys, well, I'll talk to you later. Love y'all. God bless. Please like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget the damn like button, Betty. I'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye.